have sent for you, my dear Maril, because I need your help in a very important manner.
What that matters, my dear Count? I need hardly inquire. Your present occupation makes it all too clear. You intend to fight a duel, and you are going to ask me questions every second. Is that not so?
You have guessed right.
May I know who your opponent is to be?
Certainly, it is Albert, the son of the Count of Marseille.
Indeed, one of your closest friends. In what way have you offended him?
Maril, I have done nothing. Here he came half an hour ago with his friend Osham and challenged me to fight a duel.
And what was your answer?
Oh, I agreed without hesitation. What is more, I allowed him choice of weapon. He chose pistols and we met tomorrow morning in Badminton.
And what will you do with him?
What shall I do with Albert? I shall kill him before 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I suppose, there is some cause for the quarrel between you.
Cause I hardly know, but the fact is that Albert is upset by the disgrace which has fallen upon his father.
Had you any hand in it?
Certainly, it was I who inserted in newspapers the paragraph which led to the Count of Marseille's ruin. And it was I who sent to the Chamber of Deputies this evening a witness who furnished proofs of his guilt.
And yet, Albert is your friend. My dear Monte Cristo, what can your motive be?
My motive?
Pardon me, sir. There is a lady to see you.
What lady, Betutio?
She wears a veil over her face and don't know her name.
Well, Count, I will go about this business of duel. Tomorrow morning, you say in the Badminton. I take it that Osham will let us Albert second. I will call his house immediately and will return to you when all is settled.
How, Edmund?
Edmund, do you think I do not know you? Do you think I have been not known you since you arrived in Paris? Do you think I have been long aware the name of Count of Monte Cristo?
Well, madam, you have found me out. What is your business with me?
Edmund, father. Edmund, I know everything that has passed between you and my son. For the sake of our family name, he has challenged you. Tomorrow morning he will fight with you. Is that not so?
He has challenged me, madam. And yes, tomorrow morning I shall kill him. I do not see how I can help killing him. You see, my pistol never misses its aim.
Edmund, there was a time more than 20 years since that young when you and I were to be married. I come to implore you, if you still recall those happy days, to spare the life of mere boy who has done you no wrong.
Madam, I have sought no quarrel with your son. It is he who has sought quarrel with me.
Edmund, for the heaven's sake, hear me. It is you who provoked quarrel by bringing disgrace upon our family. Why should you do such thing? I ask you why.
Madam, why should I do such a thing? I ask of you to rise and seat yourself quietly in this chair, then I will answer your question by telling you a story. Now listen, madam, and mark well what I am going to say. Many years ago, indeed more than 20 years, there returned to his home in Marseille a young sailor who had been on a long voyage. The sailor was happy, for he had hopes of being married shortly to a young Catalan girl. The name of that young Catalan girl, as you know well, madam, was Mercedes. But there was also in the city another young man, a fisherman, who was a villain. This villain resolved to win Mercedes from the young sailor, and with the help of his conspirators, he hatched a plot, the most devilish plot that has ever been hatched against a mortal man. He produced false evidence to show that the young sailor was a spy, an agent of the exiled Bonaparte. The sailor was tried in court, found guilty of his crime, and condemned the rest of his life in an underground dungeon.
Edmund, I implore you to, I believe that I do nothing of villainy.
You, madam, why should you have done?
Edmund, why will you persist in display acting? You know that you are a sailor who tried to cast into prison, and you know that I am that Mercedes whom you were to be married, and you know that...
I know that your husband is that villain who accused me wrongfully and called Mercedes 20 years ago, many years ago. It was a time, many years ago, indeed more than 20 years. There were 20 years ago, it was time for me to plan my revenge when I should escape from the prison. A last chance favored me. I escaped from the prison. I traveled and flourished. I have grown rich since then. And you?
Edmund, I married him the villain Fernand Mandeko. I swear you to believe that I do nothing of villainy, and all people assured me that you are dead. I was soon to find out you, but how mean and heartless he was.
What do you ask of me? Your son's life? Very well he shall live.
Oh, thank you, Edmund. Now you are the man who I cease regard as a noble.
So much the better that you should acknowledge it, for I shall not have much longer to be thought noble by you.
What do you mean, Edmund?
I mean that since you command me, Mercedes, I must die.
Die, Edmund? Who said for anything dying?
Mercedes, you do not suppose the challenge as I have been. I can withdraw from the quarrel and beg your son's pardon. No, Mercedes, a challenge has been issued and a duel must take place. I shall fire into the air and it will be my blood, not your son's, that will stand the ground tomorrow.
But Edmund, you shall not die. You must die when?
Enough, Mercedes, it is settled. Leave me now. Betuthio, show this lady out of the house.
Edmund, I implore you to.
Mercedes, say no more. Your son shall not die. I have sworn it. Betuthio, show this lady out of the house.
Edmund, your life is.
Betuthio! This document which you see here, then ask him to come in.
Ah, my dear Count, I am glad to see that you are not yet retired to bed. All is now settled. It is fixed for tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the Bodmanson. All seconds are now chosen. Then you may be baker for the breakfast by 9 o'clock.
One moment, Paril. This document which you see here is my will. I will not trouble you now to read it, but when I am dead, go to my solicitor and examine it. Meanwhile, I must ask you to be a witness to my signature.
What? When you are dead?
Yes, must not I prepare for everything, my dear?
True, though in this case such a precaution is hardly necessary. And yet, if I might entreat you to grant me a favor, I would beg you not to kill Albert. Consider, the unhappy youth has a mother.
I have not forgotten it.
You are the offended party. You will have the right to fire first. After what I have seen of your marksmanship, I do not doubt that you can kill Albert if you choose. His only chance of safety lies in your generosity. Break his arm, wound him, don't kill him.
Thank you, Marl, but to tell the truth, I do not need entreaties to spare Albert's life. He shall be so well spared that he will return to his home quietly safe with his friends
While you?
That will be another matter. I will be brought home.
No.
It is as I have said, Albert will kill me.
Kill you, my dear Count.
Come, no more words, Marl. Draw near, Betuthio.
Sir, here it is, sir.
Draw near, Betuthio. Now write your name here, Marl. I take the pen, thus and I sign my will. Ah, Marl, when a man resolves to avenge himself, he should first of all tear out his heart from his breast.